So thank you everybody for being here. And today we are continuing our conversation that we started from February this year. And what we are focusing on is complete wellness. Complete wellness in an unwell economy. What we are saying, and I'm not sure we need to say too much, because right now everybody is kind of feeling it. We all know exactly what is going on in our country, and the idea is we shouldn't just be struggling without finding help. So let's see how we can help ourselves by sharing information. So like I said, this program is called HeyCoach. It's designed to provide and make available coaching opportunities for the working class group of people, whether you are an employee or you are an employer, an entrepreneur. The idea is that you need to take a decision, you have an issue confronting you, and you are looking for help. You do not need to necessarily have money or need to go and wait to book time with a coach. The idea is that we can provide a platform where we can crowdsource ideas, crowdsource experience, such that you do not need to gamble or take avoidable risk. And so we're very happy that you are here with us today. Thank you very much for joining. Even though it may look like a training, this is really not just a training. What we have here is an opportunity to share experience. And we started this in February. We've had the February edition, the March edition, the April edition, the May edition. This is the 5th edition. You will find the recordings for the past editions on our YouTube channel. That is the DLI channel, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative. If you type that on YouTube, it will take you to our page. You will see these past editions in addition to many other content. I think we have over 160 videos there now. We've been at this now for 5-6 years. I'm sure you will find something useful there. So please feel free to go in and check it out and see what exactly you are able to make out of it and how to benefit from it. Because we like to make this extremely participatory, we request that if you have to say anything, please try and keep it short, straight and simple and sweet so that we can have as many people. And we are grateful to those who are already stepping forward to be a part of the team, to volunteer this or that. We want more of it. So if you would like to be a part of it, please just reach out and we'll be glad that you are joining our team. So like I said, we have been at this since February. And what prompted this, even before the economy became what it is right now, this was planned from late last year. In fact, we wanted to start this November last year, October last year, but we thought against it because the December month was going to result in a break, and therefore we thought otherwise that we should just start this year, not knowing that it will be a topic that will be very apt for the time that we are in. So what we are talking about, or what we have been talking about, is all-round wellness. All-round wellness in an unwell economy. And we are taking it around 5 major areas. We've done the one for medical wellness. We've done one run of mental wellness in March or April, I believe. But at the end of that particular run, it became clear that many more people wanted us to go a bit deeper. And that is why, after taking the nutritional wellness last month, we are back again to this mental wellness to try and drive it a bit deeper. And talking about this mental wellness, particularly today, I'm very sore because I'm sure many of you have seen the news about my friend who has died in very unclear circumstances. We still wait to see what the full story is. But the truth of the matter is that this mental wellness matter is a serious problem. And like I said in some of my posts this week, you do not prepare for exams when you are already in the exam hall. From my journey, it is better you get help. It is better you fortify yourself. It is better you equip yourself so that you don't get into the hole of mental illness, because it is not so easy to come out of it. I have been a very troublesome boy all my life. I'm not sure any part of my body I've not broken. You know, I've broken my leg, I've broken my hand. I'm sure both of them been in cast at different times. Those things are very easier. They are much easier to fix. Number one, everybody will know there's a problem. Number two, the protocol is very straightforward. When it comes to mental illness, it is not so straightforward. And the problem is, even when people are dealing with it, societal expectation, shame associated with it, stigma associated with it, will prevent most people from stepping forward to seek for help. And that is why general programs like this are extremely valuable, because what they do is that they take the attention off you. So the individual doesn't need to walk into any health facility to become identified or identifiable. And that is why if you know anybody that you can still talk to, you don't need to assess whether this person is dealing with this or not, because this thing, they show for face. They show for face. It's not written on the forehead. So it's not too late for you to share this link with somebody. Just come and hear, and you never can tell. You never can tell. This, my friend in question, we still exchange banters on Father's Day. And in fact, some of my other friends, when I started digging around, what could have happened? They were still having conversation till 2-3 days before this incident that we are still trying to unravel. It's as bad as that. So I beg you, please, if there's anybody you can send this to, please do. It is a very easy way to give help to those who may be dying and drowning and who may not be able to step forward to ask. And coincidentally, I think June is the month of mental health for men. And I think statistics show that is it 3 or 5 times more that men are more likely to die from suicide than women. So it's not too late. Reach out to somebody. You help them get help without drawing attention to themselves, and you never can tell how far this is going to go. So today we are back to the mental health leg, and then next month, Jesus Starring and Inspiring Our Lives will deal with physical, and then we will wrap it up. We'll be wrapping it up with the financial wellness. I think that probably now will be September or August, one of the two, depending on how this goes. So that is the roadmap. And today, I'm very pleased to have my friend here, Olusola Ogunbiyi, who will be doing justice to the mental wellness conversation more from an operational point of view. The first role we had was largely conceptual and was very impactful, but we wanted to fly a little lower, maybe 1,000 feet or even touching the tmak, so that we could relate with it. And I'm looking forward myself to learning from his word of experience. But before I hand over to him, I just want to lay the foundation, and I'm sure probably we'll go over this again, that when we talk about wellness, we are not talking about just the absence of sickness. We are talking about the state of complete wholeness, whether it's physical, whether it is mental, whether it is social, whether it is financial, being completely whole, being completely well. Not just that you are not taking any drug or you are not under any therapy or in admission. So this wellness, I'm sure I don't need to preach too much sermon around this because we understand clearly what it is. And it is coming because there's a lot of assault that we are getting from different things. And that is why I said you don't prepare for exams in the exam hall. These things are real. They are assaulting us. And this list is not exhaustive. For some people, it is just this anxiety of what can happen. Nothing is even happening right now. There's just this fear of what if this happens? What if that happens? For some, it's coming from pressure. Pressure from friends, pressure from parents, different types of things going on. We live in this world where everything seems to be assaulting us all at once. And therefore, when we talk about wellness, we are talking about healthy habits, the things you do every day, which is why I again repeat, if there's somebody you can share this with, quickly share, because this is the best prevention. Fortifying the mind. I'll get to a slide that I created very shortly. This is the best prevention. Exposing the mind, equipping the mind, because once you get down that road, once an individual gets down into that hole, extracting that person is not so straightforward. So wellness speaks about the habits. How are you interpreting things? How are you internalizing things? What are your coping techniques? What are your perceptions about things? How comfortable are you to vent? How comfortable are you to seek help? Do you even know how to protect yourself? What are your triggers? It is about these things that happens on a daily basis. So wellness speaks to these healthy habits, the things you do repeatedly that helps you to go beyond just surviving. You begin to thrive. And believe me, no matter how tough it is right now, for some people, it's an opportunity to build capacity, it's an opportunity to think creatively, it's an opportunity to even excel and explode in a positive way. And in another way, the National Wellness Institute is talking about wellness as something that is active, okay? You are not just a passenger. Things are not just going on in your head, and you are just reacting without even being aware of the choices available, the choices that you are making, so that you are more in control of your life. So what this kind of program does is that it helps you to become aware that you don't necessarily have to end up inside this hole. You can be intentional to see how you move through life. It is against this backdrop, therefore, that I want to lay foundation for what Shola is going to be coming on. So this talking about all-round wellness, I kind of split it into two. There is the one that goes on between your ears, between your earlobes, that goes on in your mind. And there are some that have to do with everything external, whether it is how you eat. Last week, we were taught that your blood group has a lot to do with the kind of food you should be eating. That was very new knowledge, that some people must not be eating more again because they are going to struggle to digest it. You need to find that episode and watch and expand your knowledge in that space. But all that is motion. Next month, we'll be talking about physical exercise. How does it help you? Where do you start from? What are the limitations? But if you understand this dichotomy between the internal and the external, you then need to understand the relationship between them, because health may not be everything, but everything is nothing without health. Health may not be everything, but everything is nothing without health. Now, you must then understand that the foundational wealth is health. Just imagine, I saw a video sometimes on WhatsApp. A guy was talking to two young people and said, if I give you $10 million, will you be happy? The person said, yes. Will you be glad, excited? In fact, if I make it $100, they were so excited. What would you do with it? They started counting this, count that, and then he said, but if I told you that if I give you the $100 today, you will not wake up tomorrow morning, will you take the money? Or both of them said no. If you are watching this video, you are listening to me, just know that no matter whatever health, no matter the wealth that you are chasing, if you are not healthy, just imagine somebody who is in ICU in one hospital or is in a psychiatric hospital somewhere being chained down and perpetually under sedatives. Just tell me what use that wealth is. So the first leg I want to say today is just note it. No matter the amount of money you are chasing, your dream, your ambition, how wealthy you want to become, remember that the foundation for that wealth is your health. If you are not healthy, you can't hustle. If you are not healthy, you can't chase. If you are not healthy, even if you succeed in hustling and chasing and catching, if you are not healthy, you can't enjoy it. But more fundamental is that when we say the fundamental wealth is health, you must then know that the fundamental health is mental health. The fundamental health is mental health. When mental health is shaken, when mental health is challenged, I'm sure, I don't know how many people can add this experience. Just imagine you have a colleague while you were in school who has a mental health challenge. That's the end of the study. You can't come up with a brilliant idea. You can't come up with a world-changing idea. You can't come up with disruptive ideas if your mental health is not in a good place. So the fundamental wealth is health, and the fundamental wealth is health, and the fundamental health is mental health. And that is why today we're having a second run at the concept of mental wellness. And to talk to us today is my oga at the top. I'm still trying to apply for apprenticeship. His name is Olusola Ogunbiyi. All right. He is a very experienced clinical psychologist, a very experienced psychotherapist. This is something he's very, very passionate about. And that is why I had to drag him to come on today, because I do not want the conversation to be just from a conceptual point of view. I wanted it to be very, very practical and something that is very relatable. And with his wealth of experience in the different spaces that have to do with mental health issues, cognitive behavior therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy, family systemic therapy, addiction management, and all the rest. He's been there, done that for a couple of years now, seen a lot of things in real life. And I'm hoping that he will be able to please share of that his knowledge with us. By way of affiliations, he has affiliation with the Nigerian Clinical Psychologist Association, American Psychology Association, the Canadian Counseling and Psychotherapy Association, and you will see that by way of education and training, he's had a few that I'm sure will be very useful in our conversation for today. So, without any further ado, Oga at the top, the mic is yours. Please take it up from here. Shola, over to you. I stop to share now, and please go ahead, unmute your mic, and let's enjoy your session today. Thank you very much.
All right, tmak, thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words as well, even though some of them were a bit exaggerated.
Don't worry, we will exaggerate it. It's okay.
Okay. Good day, everybody, and thank you. Tmak, I think because I I switched device just a moment ago. I might have lost the privilege to share my screen,
Okay, let
so bear in
me
mind.
grant it again. Let me just see. So which one am I granting now? Just okay, the Olusola Ogunbiyi. All right. I've granted you the right to share. Yes, please go ahead. Try now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. All
All
right.
right.
Tech bro in the mud. Um, Good afternoon, everybody, once again, and thank you for having me, and thank you for the introduction as well, tmak. I hope I'll be able to get across to our listeners and those that joined us from wherever it is that you have joined us today. My name remains Olusola Ogunbiyi, but for this conversation, I would like for you to just refer to me as Shola. Shola works just fine, not Dr. Shola, not psychologist Shola, not what did T-Mac mention earlier? All those titles, no, just go with Shola. Shola is fine. Shola is what my clients call me, and I'm okay with that. So thank you very much. So we're going to be talking about, as the theme of the conversation today goes, our wellness in trying times, in periods of um, upheavement, in times of, stress and worry, in times of individualized or generalized psychosocial problems, economic problems, challenges, what does our mental wellness look like then? How do we keep sane? What are the things that we need to prioritize at those particular points in time? Now, if rain is falling, and you're under the rain, you know what to do, to protect yourself. Oh, I'm going to bring out my umbrella, to protect myself from the water, from the raindrops. Or I'm going to run to somewhere that has a shade, or I'm going to get into my car, you understand? There are many things that we could do. Similarly, when we are in situations that is critically affecting our mental well-being, whatever spectrum of mental well-being you are experiencing at that particular point in time, what do I do? Then we realize that it's not as easy as evading the elements of weather. It's not as easy as avoiding extreme sunshine, because again, if you don't know what to do, you are more likely not to put your right foot forward. You are more likely not to have the right kind of mindset, and you're more likely not going to make the right kind of judgment in that particular situation. I empathize with T-Mac, on what he shared at the opening phase. It's never really easy when one has to lose, loved ones, friends, colleagues, whoever that you have formed a particular good bonding with. It takes you through quite a lot of stress, emotional turmoil. Sometimes it triggers certain responses in you that you are not even aware that you had before, And yeah, in mental health, we do quite a lot with triggers, things that, get us into a particular state of mind. It might be related to what is happening presently, or it might be isolated from what is happening currently. We have quite a lot of emotional baggages that we go around with, myself inclusive. And sometimes we are able to manage them, by and large. But there are certain situations that could just trigger it and bring it all back to light. And you begin to relive those experiences, and it begins to give you that emotional distress that most of the time many of us would probably need help, or some kind of intervention to help us with. And we are having this conversation from Nigeria. Nigeria currently is going through quite a bit of an economic challenge. Everybody's feeling it one way or the other. And again, we need to ask ourselves, how do people protect their mind when all of this kind of situations are happening? When your purchasing power has been drastically reduced, how do you protect your mind? How do you stay sane? Sometimes there could be political issues, there could be security issues, there could be challenges with infrastructures, there could be health related issues. How do we, keep ourselves straight, and how do we help ourselves as far as our mental health is concerned? Because the reality is that there's a close relationship between whatever is going on in your environment and the formation of mental health challenges. Things that you are going through can increase your chances of developing an anxiety disorder. Things that you're passing through or that you're experiencing directly or indirectly or vicariously can increase the chances of developing emotional disorders such as depression. Things that you are observing can increase the chances of you developing, traumatic stress disorder like PTSD, or acute stress disorder. There are quite a lot of things that is going on in your internal or external environment that can lead to mental health challenges with you as an individual if you do not have the right coping strategy, if you don't have the right kind of mindset, and ultimately if you don't have the level of resilience that is required for you to deal with those situations. So in our conversations today, we'll be talking more about the impact of what this thing does to us, these experiences, whether you're experiencing them directly or indirectly, whether you are actively involved in the situation or you are just an observer on the side, the potency of the reaction can be, devastating regardless. So today we'll be talking about how much of those things you understand and what they lead to us. So whether it's an economic issue, whether it's a relationship issue, whether it's a personal, growth issue, whether it's a developmental issue, they all lead to what we refer to as psychological stress. Psychological stress. So that's the first thing we're going to learn about today. The concept of psychological stress. We can all label whatever it is that we're going through. Oh, it's a supper thing that is going on with me. It's economic hardship. Oh, it's breakfast thing. For those of you who don't know what breakfast is, it's not what you eat in the morning, rather it's when somebody you love kind of like gives you a red card, and then you have to leave that relationship, and you go through all that motion. Maybe it's failure that you're dealing with, maybe it's financial issues you're dealing with, maybe it's economic pressure, maybe it's psychosocial issues.
Or even disappointment, people chasing things and failing and not having their expectations met. Sorry for interrupting you, sir.
Exactly, tmak. Feel free to interrupt at any point in time. You are my ogre. People think we just kind of like go through life without challenges, without obstacles. We shy away from the fact that we fail more often than we succeed in things. And again, the same way success affects it affects our mood, it affects our behavior. Failure also affects, our, psychological aspect of us, such as our cognition, our mood, and also our behavior as well. And we need to talk about those things, they all ultimately cause what we refer to as psychological stress. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. We'll try as much as possible to recognize what our automatic response, to psychological stresses, behavioral responses and their potential impact as well as something that we'll gloss over as well. Ultimately, we'll get into how to manage the said stress. And we'll talk about another thing. So it's kind of like a three-pronged approach to tackling this. One of them is talking about stress. The second one is talking about resilience, or building resilience. What does that look like? What are the benefits of it? How do I bring that home, with me every day? And how do I make it part of my recovery routine? How do I make it part of my wellness routine? How do I make it part of my self-care routine as well? And the third one is talking about expectations. More importantly, managing said expectations. And these three things are going to, I believe, greatly open our mind towards different ways by which we can approach situations, and we can deal with them in our mind, and hopefully it will have a positive correlation with our actual reality as well. So here we go. So again, what is stress in itself? Just like I said before, stress can come from quite a lot of things. Before now, they would ask some people, what is stress? And people can talk about heat, they can talk about noise, they can talk about environmental issues, things that are external to you. You understand? Oh, there's no electric power supply. There's no gasoline or petrol. There's no distance. Oh, these are the things that are stressing you, and you're very much right. And they are stressors. They are only a different type of stressors. More often, other type of stressors that have intangible concepts to us, such as things like failure. You can't really quantify it, you can't point to it, you can address, it the way you would address temperature, for instance. If you are suffering from heat, for instance, you can regulate your environmental temperature, put on your AC or put on your fan, get to a place that has a shade, go under a tree or something like that. Failure, on the other hand, is a different kind of stressor compared to something like heat, compared to something like finances, for instance. So we have failure, we have, threats, harassment, we have family problems, instance, we have perception of loss, we have work-life balance issues, we have issues that has to do with trauma, we have issues that have to do with grief, such as mourning, tragedies, when we lose, people. We have economical issues, we have health challenges, relationship problems, interpersonal, psychosocial, whatever those, relationship dynamic problem are. All of this can also be very, very much potent stressors to us. Okay. So when somebody is dealing with, let's say, tragedy, for instance, and the person is going through grief, you would not typically say that the person is under stress. But the reality is that that emotional trauma that the person is dealing with is a psychological stress. Okay. So again, stress is not an abstract concept. Stress is more of the consequences of things that happens to us in life. Okay. In life, we can fail. In life, we could have family problems. If you live long enough, you're going to lose people that you love. You understand? It's inevitable. We can have health challenges. Economic can undulate, in terms of, there's money today, there's no money tomorrow, inflation rates and things like that. The psychological impacts that those things have on us is what stress is. Okay. So the origin of your stress can be as a result of a loss, as a result of a failure, and the psychological effect of this is what the stress is as well. And that is most of the time is what we need to battle. So we've looked at kinds of stress, again, when we want to define stress by itself, it's a response. It's a biological, psychological response to issues that we are being exposed to, all right, that is going on in our external environment and also in our internal environment as well. Okay. So again, sometimes a situation that is happening in your mind can be a stress too. A typical example of that could be anxiety, worrying, paranoia, those things can be a very, very potent source of psychological stress to us, and it is a lot to handle for most people, and we all kind of like deal with stress every day. In fact, I think the whole idea of daily living is dealing with stress. The moment you step out of the house, you stand, stressors are exposed to you one way or the other. The moment you start to culture a new relationship, you are opening yourself to potential stressors. The moment you decide to, socialize with people, you are opening up yourself to stressors. And again, maybe the idea is for us to normalize that, hey, stress is all around us. Rather than fixate on the type of stress, maybe we should just kind of like be more open-minded to changing our perception, our relationship towards the stress, and dealing more with stress management techniques, and how to deal with those things. That's why you find that people can be exposed to the same situation, identical scenarios, and they can be dealing with it differently. If you can hold personal qualities, to a constant, let's say an individual A and an individual B, they are identical in all their life experiences. I don't know how that's possible, but let's just assume that they are the same gender, they are the same, everything about them is just the same, and they are exposed to the same stressor. Chances are they could respond to it differently. Okay. Somebody once said to me that, Shola, queries at work, are not a good thing because they obviously go into your HR file, you understand? And it could be an appraisal issue, somewhere in the future. How do I deal with it? Because it seems like I don't know how to deal with those kind of things. I'm like, are you the only one that I've ever received query in the organization? I said, no. Queries does come out, yes, from time to time to different people. Have you observed other people dealing with that particular situation? I said, yes, I do. Do you think they are dealing with it better than you do? It will appear that they are dealing with it better than I am dealing with it. And that's part of the baffling thing. It's almost as if it's a different kind of query. In fact, this last query that I got was identically the same. It was worded the same way to me and my work colleague, you understand? And he just kind of like, it just rolled off, on his body, like, when water falls on a duck feather or something like that. It almost seems like it didn't affect him, and I'm wondering Why am I more vulnerable to this than this other person? And the reality of it is that, A, you probably just have different stress management techniques. You understand? He has a functional one, and you are yet to develop a functional one to help you in that particular situation. Here is something that is also worth knowing as well. There are two broad categories of stress. All right, the ones that I've been talking about, and we'll get to talk about more as we go, is the distress. Okay, stress, distress. Distress is the kind of stress that we've been talking about. All the failures. Let me just take you back to the earlier slides. Okay, all of this, distress. Typical example of that. And what we look at it is that distress obviously is the kind of stress that causes negative consequences or reactions to us. So distress could lead to things like, poor sleep, fatigue, emotional changes, you understand, what we call mood swings. It can lead to mental health issues, it can lead to feeling of being overwhelmed and quite a host of other negative psycho-emotional reactions to things. There is, however, a different kind of stress called the eustress. The eustress, might not necessarily be different from the distress in terms of the kind of stressors that elicits them. But however, eustress, has a different kind of reaction in us, psychological or psycho-emotional reaction. When you're exposed to eustress, you can get motivated, your resilience can improve, your outlook to life can become more positive, your decision-making process can become better. You can see it as a challenge, as an obstacle, and get you quite motivated, to make improvements and to make adjustments. It could lead to increase in self-efficacy, your perception of, how efficient you are as an individual. It could improve your self-esteem, it could improve your self-morale. And yes, Shola, is there a difference between the distress and the eustress
Do you
stressor?
want to please slow down a bit and spell out that Eustress so that people just know the difference, because it sounds similar if you're not familiar with it?
Okay. I hope my screen is still visible to everybody. So eustress is Eustress.
Okay. Eustress. All right. And then
Okay.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
distress, on the other hand, just distress,
Thank you.
where it is. All right. So the interesting thing is that the stressor for both distress and eustress can be the same. In fact, in most situations, the stressors for both distress and eustress are the same. However, the reaction can be different depending on the individual. Okay. So what makes a stress eustress or distress? And the singular thing that makes it stress, eustress, or distress is the perception of the individual experiencing the stressor. Okay, just like typically in the example that I gave earlier, that person that got a query at work, a negative evaluation, and the person reacted in distress. See, the person felt sad, the person felt unvalued, the person felt he or she has been treated, unjustly. The person felt, maybe unintelligent, quite a lot of negative emotion that people can feel when they are reacting to distress. But the colleague who got exactly the same query as well, was at his work, trying to learn from that experience, trying to move on, taking it up as a challenge, and ultimately that person would recover from that particular challenge better than the person in question. Why? Because their perception to the stress was different. Okay, even in this economy where everybody is saying, "Oh, things are hard," and things are hard, if you're being honest, but we are not in control of it. Lots of us are not in the place where they are making economic policies. We are all recipients of whatever shady economic policies the country is dealing out to us. But what we are in control, however, is whether we want to look at it as a distress or a eustress. So we're already delving into the conversation of stress management now. And one of the first psychological tools for managing stress is changing your mindset about the stressor. Is changing your mindset about the stressor. But I guess we'll talk about that, as we continue. So moving on, here are some list of behavioral responses, you understand, and how they can potentially impact our well-being, from distress. Sometimes people respond in a negative way. There are avoidant behaviors such as using substances, alcohol, and things like that to kind of like separate you from the reality of the stress that you're experiencing. Some people they medicate, psychoactive drugs, either prescribed or, illicit. And they use those things to control their emotions, because again, somebody will tell you that in this economy, let me just see a bottle of 1 and 2, you understand, and I'm okay for the next 6 hours, you know. But again, that would wear out, and then you come back to the reality of things. And because your behavioral response to it is dysfunctional, it can lead to further damages, such as an addiction problem, relationship issues, health challenges, your use of certain kind of substance can even increase your stress as well. Like the use of caffeine, for instance, can increase the amount of stress that you are actually going through, as against, if you're using caffeine, you understand, as a beverage, you understand, and it's just something that you do, you understand, that's not a problem. But if you're already stressed and you are using caffeine as a way to, you're just going to increase the stress. It could also have, lots of, health implications for your body. Many of these things, such as alcohol, for instance, apart from the addiction issue, it causes quite a lot of, physiological issues, you understand, in our body as well. And again, people deal with that, whether it's something you're smoking, whether it is something you're shooting into your veins, or whether it's something you're inhaling, you understand. There are loads and loads of warnings and indicators that these things are ultimately not good for our body in the short and long run. Sometimes people react to stress, you understand, by not sleeping well, you understand, and that also could also lead to other issues as well. These are just kind of like a host of things that we could look at as possible reactions and then potential for the negative impacts on us. And the second slide as well, or the next slide, also tries to talk more about that. Let me hone in on lashing out in anger, for instance. We see sometimes some people's reaction to stressors is that they lash out. They become so frustrated that they react in aggression. Somebody will say, "Oh, I got to the office today, and it would appear that my boss woke up on the wrong side of the bed." That's like we're trying to euphemize the fact that this person is not dealing with whatever stress that they are is going on in their life, in a healthy way. So they are lashing out, they are displacing their aggression. In Nigeria, we call that transfer of aggression. But the right word for it is aggression displacement, basically, which means that, something is happening to you that is frustrating you, but you can't address that issue. Maybe because the issue is above you, or maybe the stressor is something that you can't touch, but then there are people that work beneath you, you understand, your subordinates, you understand, that you can transfer those aggression towards, you understand, and then for no justifiable reason, you just become more aggressive towards those people. You lash out at them, you use words that you ought not to be using, and things like that. And if this is your way of responding to stressors, yeah, the likely issue is that it further puts your potential for having good relationship with people at risk. People quickly lose respect for you when that is the way you respond to situations. But there are possibilities of both physical and emotional hurt. When people say hurt people, this is what they are basically talking about. People that are hurt have a higher chances of hurting other people as well, because they are reacting to their own stressor in a very, very negative way, and that would also be conveyed to other people that are unfortunately, stuck close to them as well. So there are quite a lot of ways that these things can affect our psychosocial well-being. But again,
Olusola, before you go on, two things.
Okay.
Two things. So, number one is, please don't lose your train of thought. Number one is, are you sharing from two screens?
Does it
Or
appear like
can
I
you
am?
stop to share and then start to share, because the presentation is not very legible? There is a part of the screen that is taken up by your name. Or is your camera on and we are not? Did you put on your camera because we can't even see you?
Okay,
So
my camera is not on.
don't
I
bother,
guess
don't
that's
bother about that. Can you stop sharing and then start again? Let's see if that will correct the problem. Because the screen
okay.
is kind of taking up two spaces and the presentation itself is now very narrow. It's very tiny. It's a smaller window.
Okay.
So if you can stop sharing at the top, or sorry, at the, yeah, where is that? Yeah, it should be at the top of your screen. Click on stop sharing. And then, oh, okay, you stop sharing, but the other window is still there. So what's this other window? Okay, yes, now start again. Now start to share again, and let's see if we will have a bigger window for the presentation only. I'm not
Okay.
sure why it's taking up the two windows. Still coming back the same way. John, you want to?
Yeah, please stop sharing and just send the PowerPoint to me. Can you do that?
Okay. I think I see where the issue is.
Okay.
The layout shows me, and but the slide. Let me see if I'm able to fix that. How about now?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So while you are doing that, for participants, I know that the way we like to do it is go a bit and stop and go a bit and stop. So do you have any comments? The question I wanted to ask a question in terms of how has the tumultuous environment that we are dealing with, how is it affecting you? Can you get to the chat room and just share? What has been your experience? How have you perceived, interpreted, internalized? If you feel like sharing, or wherever you are joining from, I know somebody here is from Turkey and different places across the continents. Do you mind just sharing? Get to the chat room and just tell us how exactly are you seeing this? What's your sense of this environment that we're running with? How is it affecting you? Do you have any concern, or how have you seen it affect anybody else? How are they responding to this? Anybody ready to share anything so that we can make this a bit more engaging? Please go ahead and do that while we try to sort this before we then move to the resilience. We have some specifics we can speak to. Anybody? This environment, how do they feel? Or do you want to talk about it? Or do you have a question? Or do you have something to contribute to this conversation? You can also unmute and talk if you are not in a noisy place.
Okay, I can just talk. So I was just about to write that I have something like a valley and a mountain scenario sometimes about
Yes.
Nigeria and Africa generally. I mean, just like he said, it's not just about Nigeria, but Nigeria has a peculiar scenario sort of. So sometimes it's very low that you think it's just complete hopelessness, but well, we just build some hope and just go on. So sometimes it's very low, sometimes it's very high. That's the way to put it.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, any other contribution? For me, the last 3 days has been a period where my head has been in the sky, because it was Tuesday evening that I heard about my friend's passing, and my head's about to explode with 1,000 questions because I can't even wrap my mind around it, and I have not been able to find any answer from anybody. And unfortunately, his wife is finished. The interaction that we had was very minimal. So we do not have that level of engagement where I can go and start asking what really happened. And it's affecting sleep. It's just very upsetting, and the feeling of helplessness. Could I have done something? Could I have what? And then there are so many questions. There are things. Is this really true? Is there something fishy going on? What exactly is it? On a personal note, I'm running a project that sometimes I get anxious that will I be able to finish this project, because the variables are just shifting, the numbers are getting out of hand. Like John said, sometimes you are very excited, sometimes you are just anxious. Anybody else ready to share, able to share?
T-Mac,
Grace.
Grace raised her hand just now.
Yeah, Grace, please go ahead.
Okay, so as thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. So as much as I tend to say it's none of my business or it's not affecting me, or I tend to just close my ears on anything that is happening around me, which I can always do at times. But regardless, whether I like it or not, there's still always a way it finds its way around me. Either by getting to the market, you want to get something and it's really on the high side, then you begin to think, oh my God, this economy. Or you just want to take a transport and you've already budgeted the fare and it's really on the high side of the other part. And you'll be like, okay, fine. So this is no more funny. Yeah, so there are parts by which there are times that it gets you upset. You begin to think, is this the way I'm going to live in this country? How am I even going to survive, even being a woman and carry my children crossing the road? I need to get a new job. I need to get out of this. Whether we like it or not, there are ways it gets into our mind. It is the mind. There are ways it gets to our mind. We begin to think and think about our family. We think about our parents. We think about others coming behind us. Yeah, so that is what it tends to do with us. But at the other side too, we have to be intentional, which I know that that's also what we are learning from here today, by not even thinking about, I don't know how to say it, or sifting it out, or just giving yourself rest if you're from the mind of having a spiritual authority over it, like getting God, right? And giving yourself peace that, okay, I'm just fine. Anything, I'm fine. Yeah. So it makes it well.
Grace, you reminded me of what happened one day when my wife called me from the market. We have been living on a budget since like 2000 and 2003, and that is something we will cover when we talk about the financial wellness. But this day I was in the office, just called me. Tmak, this thing cannot work, this one, that one, no. She was just raving and ranting and after that call, it was like, am I the person that is increasing the price? Is it me? If you need more money, then let's come and talk about getting more money. Why are you transferring this aggression to me? So it's real. A message on the group chat by participant, no names, says this situation is actually making people angry. You approach someone and before you say pim, they are angry because a lot is going on in their head. So anyone approaching them is disturbing them. In this economy, it's either you are in a lot or going through a lot or just coming out from a lot and definitely going into another lot. You wake up in the morning, you are already worried about how the day will frustrate you again. You just have to be ready for another gas goes. Everybody's aggressive. No grief for anybody, I will add. Thank you for sharing. So a lot is going on, and that is where Shola is going now. Shola, so we come back to you. Managing stress. Please go ahead. Thank you for the understanding. Go on, please.
All right, thank you, T-Mac, and thank you for everybody that shared as well. Again, this is probably one of those things that we all have in common, regardless of your gender, your race, your age, ethnicity, or any of all those other things that divides us. We can all agree on one thing that's, shege is universal. We all get to experience it one way or the other. For those of you who don't know what shege just kind of like means hardship, or stress. It's something that we can all kind of like speak to as well. And again, managing stress becomes a life-saving skill, similar to things like driving, learning to, IT skills or whatever. It becomes a life-saving skill. It literally becomes the thing that separates you from oblivion, from death, from disaster, your capacity to be able to manage, set stress. Now, there are many strategies to manage stress. Some of them we'll talk more elaborately as the slides goes on, but I usually want to tell people that, hey, sometimes stress management starts from the mind, it starts from the head, it's not your heart. What we consider to be the heart is actually, probably our prefrontal cortex. It starts from your mind, all right? And it starts from perception, more specifically. Again, we can choose to decide on what the stressor means for us, how we choose to perceive the stress. So when I say this sometimes, somebody will say, Shola, are you not encouraging us to be delusional and not realistic? I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's not me telling you to lie to yourself or anything. Rather, it's me telling you that, hey, you can change your perception of distress. You can change how distress. You are not denying the nature of the stress, however, but you are changing how the stress ultimately affects you as a person. And Nigerian has quite a lot of resilient cultures, that is imbibed in us. Maybe it's because of our upbringing, our communal, way of life, or maybe it's because of the high level of religiosity that we, kind of like practice. But for some reason, we quite know how to positively reframe economical stressors, social political stressors, and we find a way to reduce the psychological impact of it in our day-to-day life. Do we still experience this? Of course we do. But again, it would have been worse if the perception of the stressor is distress rather than eustress. So people decide within themselves that, hey, the harshness of this economy is what is going to make me become more motivated to succeed. I'm more motivated, I'm more driven right now, you understand, to unleash my potential, you understand, and let my inner creativity shine. Because everywhere I look is just hardship and hardship and hardship, and I refuse to allow this to be my narrative. I refuse to allow this to be the way that I go out. So you can, regardless of what is going on around you, you can positively reframe it in such a way that a distress becomes a eustress, which means that a bad stress, could become a good stress. And this can happen to any type of stressor that you are going through. The reason why you can keep going back to that job, you understand, despite how you feel about it, is because rather than focusing not on it as a distressing factor, you decide to look at it as, oh, it still has value. This is still why I'm paying rent. This is still putting food on the table, you understand? And for as long as it is doing that, you understand, it is an asset to me, rather than being a liability. We can change our mind, the way we think about our stress. That is what I'm talking about.
Please allow me bring a question and maybe people can contribute to it. So somebody goes to the hospital and I'm looking for participation. You can unmute if you can talk or type. Somebody goes into an hospital for a regular checkup. Nothing is wrong with that person, just regular checkup. And then he goes in and then there's a diagnosis that he has cancer and he has 6 months to live. So first question, does anybody here think that that situation can actually move from distress to eustress? If you think yes, you tell us why. If you think no, you tell us why. And this is all in the name of the fact that it is not which is what Shola is saying, it is not what you look at that is important, it is what you see. And this all has to do with how you interpret. And I will share a story with you along this particular line I've asked. So the floor is open, keep it brief. Do you think somebody can come out of that and still be positive? Anybody? Somebody who is not sick has just gone in and been told you have 6 more months to live and you're going to die. What is possible? Is there a way that can become something positive, and how? And what kind of interpretation can you put on it that can change the impact on you? Anybody? Yeah,
Yes. Okay, thank you. As much as I'll not be able to explain it better from the aspect of psychologist or else, yeah, but this is it. The mind has a way of believing whatever it is taking in. And then there's a way it processes in us, and then we begin to feel it. And then, so the stress, the thoughts, the belief, I just feel from the mind, whatever we believe, so it is. But peradventure, we tend not to believe what is said, or even if it is true, we tend to relax, calm down, and then, okay, can this be true? What exactly? I'm not even talking from the perspective of spirituality now, just natural mind. And then we begin to sift some things out. What can I do? I feel from the time of being relaxed first, getting to understand what has just been said, getting to understand how to manage this, then there's a way the mind begins to adjust. And even beyond that, one can eventually recover from it or even live longer than the stipulated time that was actually proclaimed by the doctor.
Thank you. Yes, any more? Participant is saying That is if that person is not even placed on admission as a result of the shock from the news. That's also a possible interpretation of it. Anymore. So somebody can get that diagnosis. How many people read the news about this guy? I don't know his name. Oh. This guy that all of a sudden became the face of this last Ojude Oba. Anybody saw that story? That they said he was teaming with Steez. Can't remember his name.
Is it that Baba on top of the horse that has tattoos on his body?
I can't remember whether I was on top of the I really didn't watch it, but it became a story that I think they now say he used to work in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I think he's back now there as the MD or something. Who saw that story? Anybody? Somebody was saying something. I can find it. But his story came out. He was actually diagnosed with cancer and he was given some time to live. And it reminds me of the story of Louis Armstrong. I think that is his name. What's his name? This cyclist eventually became disgraced from doping.
The Lance?
Thank you. Can I say it again?
Lance Armstrong.
Is it Lance? I'm not sure. But I'll check now before we finish. I will confirm the name. But the meaning is this. But this is where I'm going. Somebody can hear that news and say, wow, this is the end. And you know what? The body, what Grace was talking about is psychosomatic issues. The body just begin to manifest what the mind is taking. Reminds me of the story of a guy who went in for blood test, for same medical issue, just went into the hospital for treatment. And then while they were doing some tests, they took his blood and they came out with a result that said he had HIV/AIDS. And he took that in and immediately he started draining and just withering right in front of everybody as the day went by. Then in the course of the treatment, he had to come back to the hospital to see a doctor. And then they said, oh, they've been looking for him, that they gave him a wrong diagnosis, that the test result was not his own, that there was a mix-up in the result they put in his file.
Yeah.
Now,
but his health has already deteriorated.
Yes, seriously deteriorated. So somebody can hear the cancer diagnosis and say, okay, thank God I caught it early, so I am going to try to fight it. But even then, this gives me the opportunity of spending my last days with intentionality. I'm not going to just die suddenly. Like this story of this man in Ojude Oba, I will find his name. He rearranged his life, started to value things that he took for granted, spend more time with his children, spend more time with his family, made up his mind to fight this disease. And he has lived at least, I think, another maybe 10 years beyond the initial diagnosis. And that outcome is simply to one thing, which is what Shola is saying, his interpretation and decision on how to react to it. So even if he was going to die within the 6 months that he was given, he would have made up his mind to make that day count. I've read story of cancer patients that there is this guy that just died in the UK now. Used to play rugby. I can't borrow Stan Borrow or something like that. Borrow is his surname. He was diagnosed with MND, mental neural disorder, something like that, MND disease. And he decided that he was going to give the rest of his life to fighting that disease. And before he died, motor neuron disease, before he died, he ran marathon. When he could no longer run, his friends joined him. They would wheel him. He had raised money. They had constructed hospitals for people that suffer that disease. They've raised endowment for research into that disease. When he died, the entire world of sport stopped to celebrate him. He used to play rugby. Footballers, basketballers, tennis players, everybody stopped to honor him. He chose to make that incident a turning point, like Shola has been sharing with us, and made it a Eustress. So the point I'm just trying to make is that it's all up to how you choose to respond to it. It is not about being delusional or deceiving oneself or pretending that it never. Yes, Farouk or Oreagba, thank you very much. That's the name of the guy from Mojude Oba. It's not about being delusional or forgetting or pretending as if it's not there. It's by choosing to make whatever is standing in front of you a source of empowerment. Take it as a challenge, being able to spin it, look for the positive in it, and then using that as the fuel that will move you from where you are to where you never knew you even had the capacity to get to. Shola, thank you. I'm sorry again for jumping in. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I also dropped an individual in the chat box. His name is Nick Vujicic.
Yeah,
Nick
that guy with that arm and
Vujicic.
leg.
Yeah, that popular guy who doesn't have a leg. He was born that way,
Yes.
legless, armless,
Yes.
He's just a stump,
Yes.
and this guy is one of the more popular people on the face of the earth. Yes,
Right.
he pursued every dream that he wanted.
Right.
He's rich, he's famous, he's influential. He's a writer, even though he doesn't have hands.
Yes.
And quite a lot of things that he's able. He can swim, and one day when I saw him swimming, you understand, I asked myself, I am afraid of water, any body of water, you understand, I can't jump inside it, and I have legs and I have arms, and I've never swum one day in my life. And there is a guy who doesn't have a leg or a arm, and things like that. So again,
Yeah.
it's initially we can react negatively. We are not trying to say that we are not human. Somebody gets a terminal illness diagnosis. Hey, you can feel hopeless, you understand, at hearing that news. You can even go through the stages of grief, you understand, to be able to deal with what that is going on. But ultimately, what is going to help us is finding a positive mindset, to seeing the positivity, in many of those situations. It's an activity I do with my clients during sessions sometimes, and when the person is kind of like going in hard on how things are not working well and things like that, we do an exercise on positive reframing. Let's see if you can find any positivity in all of these things without changing the narrative of the story or embellishing, the severity of it in any way. And again, lots of medical research has going to show that, hey, if you hold personal qualities and quality of healthcare in consonance, you understand, resilience, goes quite a lot of, way in also aiding recovery, aiding the efficacy of medication, aiding the efficacy of whatever intervention you're giving to the person. And resilience does not come in tablets. It doesn't come in injections. It doesn't come in anything. It comes from what? A state of mind, a positive mindset, and hopeful, optimistic attitude towards the future. Whatever that. Sorry, did you say something? Okay, all right. So, managing stress, we've kind of like talked about two strategies. Number one is identifying, which one you want to go with. Is it distress or distress? And number two, conceptualizing, and positively reframing how you want to interact or interpret your stressors, whatever it is, you understand? And trying as much as possible to drag yourself away from it being a distressing output, rather to it being a eustress output as well. Another way for managing stress is building resilience, which we will be talking about, quite soon. Building resilience. What does resilience mean, and what role does it play in dealing with the amount of, negativity that exists in our world today? We'll talk about that as well. One other way of also managing stress is also managing our expectations. How that correlate, you understand, and how that come across into stress management. We would also get to talk about, these are kind of like psychological hacks, tools that we can use. There are other behavioral strategies that people can use to manage stress, as some of the things that you can see: practicing relaxation, meditation, being internally motivated, engaging in, social activities like traveling, exercise, things that counteract the negative emotions, you understand, with positive, neurotransmitters that will be released from these activities that you do, engaging in activities such as listening to music, you understand, doing your hobbies, focusing more on things that you have passion Again, there are many people that go about in life today that are more frustrated because they really don't have a passion. People have careers, they have jobs, they have responsibility, they have quite a lot of all those things, but sometimes people lack passion. Things that you can do without being paid for. Things that its reward for you is more about the dopamine releases, you understand, the serotonin releases, and not necessarily about the tangible rewards that those things get for you, you understand. Some people work, you understand, and spend their weekends volunteering, you know. We hear about things like Doctors Without Borders, you understand. People devote their life to helping people who cannot help themselves, missionary works, volunteer, whatever it is that you're doing, pottery, gardening, cycling, jogging, whatever it is that you find passion in, any activity that you don't necessarily have to be rewarded tangibly for it, but your reward is more cerebral. Focus more on those things. They have a way of giving your life meaning and giving you more pleasurable things to focus your mind on, as against the negativity that is surrounding us on a day-to-day. And more importantly, engage in therapeutic activities. We talked about meditation, whatever meditation looks like for you, either it's relaxation exercises, whether it is yoga, or you want to start therapy as a lifestyle, skill, as a lifestyle adjustment modality for yourself, you understand? Getting to talk to a counselor or a therapist, you understand? And doing that consistently, you understand? Along the same way you go for medical checkups, you understand, in the hospital, you also have a very, very good relationship with your therapist, and someone who knows you, you understand, and is able to help you develop positive coping strategies for situations and issues that are going on in your life, and also help you build things like resilience as well. So again, managing stress, sometimes it's not just one activity. It could be a combination of quite a lot of these things, both psychological hacks, physical activities, you understand, and also wellness activities as well. So, okay. All right, so let's talk about resilience. All right. As one of those psychological activities that basically helps us overcome stress. Again, resilience, by definition, could talk about the processes of adaptation or successfully adapting to challenging situations in one's life. I usually like telling people like that resilience is like building muscle. Many of us, not me anyways, and I've been putting off going to the gym, but hopefully one day I'll get motivated enough to do it. But many people go to the gym because they have body goals, you understand, that they want to go and get, they want to build, their biceps, they want to build their quads, they want to build their glutes, they want to build their triceps, you understand. They want to work on their, abdominal muscles, you understand, and all those things, get a six-pack going on for them and things like that. Resilience is similar to that, but even though resilience is not a physical biological muscle in our body, it is muscle by other qualities, and the thing about muscles is that if you exercise it, it grows bigger and it gets stronger, and you are able to do more with it, just like when your biceps are growing, you work on them a lot, it will grow bigger, it will appear more pronounced from under your skin. You'll be able to lift heavier things, you understand? And a functional application of that in life is that you're able to do more things by yourself, individually without relying on other people to do it. You can carry things, you can lift stuff, you can push things, and who knows when that could come in very, very handy. You could even save a life, pull somebody out of a wreckage, and things like that. Again, resilience is similar to that. All right. But instead of going to the gym to build your resilience, you use life experiences and therapy to build your resilience. Resilience, by definition, is how we overcome challenges, our capacity to overcome challenges and stressors of life. More importantly, stressors of life. Sometimes when things happen to us and we say, it is well, this too shall pass. I'm sure there's a testimony after this. You don't know what you're doing, but what you're actually doing is that you're verbalizing your level of resilience. You're verbalizing that, hey, I have the capacity of dealing with stress. That thing that we write in our CV, problem-solving skills, analytical, whatever, all those interesting qualities that we talk about in those things. Many of those things speaks to resilience. Yes, and I usually tell people, include resilience in your qualities, you understand, attributes, you understand, that you think is a standard attribute for you, because resilience is quite versatile, meaning that you can deploy it in diverse situations in your life, your career, academic endeavors, interpersonal relationship, psychosexual health, even medical health situation. Just like, what Tmak was saying earlier, that, sometimes your resilience as a person improves the quality of healthcare that you receive. It improves the efficacy of the drugs that is being given to you. And meet any doctor, any surgeon, they will tell you that the attitude of people sometimes, even when they are not conscious, you understand, that attitude, you understand, plays a critical role in how they respond, to treatment, in how they respond to, things, and how they recover from upsets, challenges, and things like that. So resilience is very, very versatile. There's literally no aspect of your life that resilience can come to play. And how much more in the current, climate that most of the world is going through right now. Almost every society in the world is, experiencing inflation. Somebody from Canada was telling me the other day that Shege is here too. People from UK are also saying the same thing. People from America are saying the same thing. Like, it is hard everywhere. You think buying petrol is hard in Nigeria? It's way more expensive in Canada. It's way more expensive in the US, and things like that. And people's purchasing power are, is gradually reducing. So again, it's more relevant now for us to invest more in our resilience, do activities that improves our resilience, that make us more bulletproof to the various stressors that would ultimately affect us on a day-to-day. Again, some questions are like, oh, Shola, does resilience means that the problem goes away? No, that's not the role of resilience. Resilience is about, hey, if your resilience can eradicate the problem, well, good for you. You understand? That is always awesome, and a welcome development. But many a times, the problem still persists while resilience does its thing. Sometimes the challenge could still be there because, again, there are many things that could be in our control. But in life, there are quite a lot of things that we don't have control over. We talk about the economy, you understand? The only person that has control over it are those people in the halls of power. To the average citizen like us, you understand, we are just kind of like a recipient of, many of those things. So again, control is not there. So what do? You focus more on resilience, you understand, how you can thrive regardless of that situation, and many a times, this is the kind of attitude that people do eventually have. So resilience is also about choosing healthier strategies to cope with situations that you are going through. Sometimes people respond in anxiety, sometimes people respond emotionally in depression, but you have a choice. You are not as helpless as the situation would suggest to you. Again, helplessness, hopelessness are very, very symptomatic to things like depression, where people feel like, oh, choice has been taken away from me. And again, as people, you understand, when choice have been taken away from us, and we feel like we have no say in the direction of our own life, we feel dejected. It's a bad place for us to be, either psychologically, emotionally, or any other, parameter that you want to think about. But again, the key to that is understanding that the helplessness of a situation is an illusion. It is not necessarily the reality of the experience. There is always a choice. There is always a way for you to have a say in the direction of your own life. Just like in the hopeless situation we've had some kind of, examples here about the guy, the limbless guy. He could have succumbed to the helplessness of the decision and be like, you know what, I'll never get to marry. I'll never get to have a child of my own. I'm never going to be relevant to anybody. I'm going to be a lead weight, you understand, to my family. I'm always going to be a liability wherever it is that I go. He could have succumbed to those thought processes, to those mindsets, but he didn't. He decided that, what, regardless of this challenge, he still has not grown a limb, despite all the resilience that he has. He has not grown a single finger. He still doesn't have toes. He doesn't have limbs. You understand? But he has said that, what, the problem persists. But my resilience is going to, bring the positivity. It's going to bring the shine out of me, and I'm going to thrive regardless of the presence of these challenges and of this limitation. Again, sometimes even when situations are perilous, sometimes when they appear, there's the suggestion of our automatic negative thoughts, you understand, that tells us that, oh, this is bad, this is hopeless, you're never going to make it out of this, you understand, there's no hope, Nigeria is doomed, this and that, and all those negativity. You could buy into those mentality, you understand, and then respond emotionally and behaviorally towards it. So when you feel everything is hopeless, you understand, then you act without purpose. You lose motivation, you understand, you lose ambition, you understand. There's no point, you understand, moving on. There's no point living. And mental health wise, that is where many people get to, that you then see the ultimate manifestation in their suicidality or their addiction or the degeneration of their mental health state. But again, there's always a choice, no matter how bad it is, you understand? And in resilience, it's encourages us to choose an healthier strategy, you understand, to deal or to react or to respond to these life issues. Resilience has a very, very potent relevance to our mental health, just like I've been trying to say. The absence of resilience has been known to usher in, heightened level of anxiety, heightened level of depression, heightened level of paranoia, heightened level of delusional disorders, heightened level of psychosocial impairment, heightened level of depression. Quite a lot of things can be hyped up, you understand, because of the absence of resilience. But the presence of resilience, however, you understand, reduces the onset of these challenges, or it helps with the recovery of these challenges as well. Okay, so again, your mental health has a lot to do with your level of resilience. So if sometimes, you feel like your mental health is not mental health, your mental health is, shaking too much, you understand, maybe it's high time you begin to prioritize building resilience. Maybe it's high time we prioritize, doing things that build up your resilience, you understand, as against breaking it down. Maybe if you focus on your resilience, it will have positive impact on the symptoms that you are manifesting. Okay, I've seen quite a lot of people who their resilience have been what literally brought them out of chronic mental health issues. Think about the worst of mental health issues, such as schizophrenia, such as dementia, such as delusional disorders, such as bipolar affective disorders, such as addiction, and quite a lot of things. And people's resilience, and when they are able to work on it, you understand, can prove very, very instrumental into how they recover from those situations. And even when we are dealing with, trauma, we are dealing with tragedies, we are dealing with all of this, resilience as a way of, helping us recover from those situations better and coming out better, at the other end of it again. So again, your mental health and your resilience, they are one and one, you understand, they are working pari passu. So again, this kind of like underscores the relevance of having good resilience going forward. Let's look at strategies for developing resilience. All right, strategies for developing resilience. And this one is the 4A strategies. There are other strategies like the 7 Cs. So you can do your research, you understand, there are other literatures out there, there are other modalities that people have developed, over time, but we're going to get into all of them. So we're just going to talk about the 4 A's strategy today. It's called 4 A's because, of course, obviously, they all start with A's, I guess. Okay, good. So one of the first A's, acceptance. Okay, acceptance. Acceptance comes quite, if you are the kind of person that is very, very literate about mental health, lingua and conversation, acceptance comes up quite a lot in therapeutic models. There's acceptance in grief management, there's acceptance in addiction management, there's acceptance in self-esteem management issues. There are quite a lot of things that, acceptance, features in. So what does it mean to accept a situation? Another way to look at acceptance is normalizing a situation. Yeah, acceptance is that, hey, sometimes we just need to accept as things are what they are. It is what it is. It is not inherently good. It is not inherently bad. It is just a phenomenon that happens. It is my interpretation of the phenomenon actually, and that eventually makes it either a good thing or a bad thing. So again, our situation sometimes, that we stress over so much is because let's take control, for instance. That's one thing that people struggle with a lot. Control of outcome. I love this person, you understand, and the person did not love me back. the expectation of control in that particular situation, that my love for this person should ultimately garner our own love, you understand? And the intensity of my love should be commensurate with the intensity of the love that I'm getting in return from that person. Control. Okay. And sometimes when we don't get it, we feel cheated. That is literally where the word cheat comes from. I was cheated in that relationship and things like that because you did not get the same amount of energy that you invested in that relationship. And then it puts you in a very, very bad place. You understand? Then you're crying, you're sad, you're writing sad love songs, you're listening to Adele inside the showers, and you are saying, oh, women will shame you, you understand? Don't trust women, or you go to trust women, or the vice versa, men are scum, you understand? And all of those things. Don't trust men. And they start talking about certain men with certain, names, you understand, that they are potentially bad people. Shout out to the Emekas and the Babatundes in the house. Anyways, sometimes the problem is that we don't accept that sometimes in life, things don't work out the way we want. You can put all your energy in the thing, you understand? And the only thing you have control over is how much of yourself you invest in that thing. You have no control on the outcome because the outcome of that particular situation depends on not just the amount of input that you put in, but also other scenarios and situations and factors that are out of your own control that can also affect the outcome that you're having. So yeah, you could give all your love to somebody. It is not enough to control the outcome of whether the person is going to reciprocate your love. Because again, that person is an individual of the person's own, has their own personality, has their own quality, their own life experiences, what they are going through, their background, their family, their mental health issue. There are quite a lot of factors that just for the fact that you showed love to the person is not going to be enough for the person to be able to reciprocate it back to you. And we should be able to normalize that, that sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes we venture into things, you understand, and it works out for us, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we live, sometimes we die. Normalizing situations is what acceptance talks about, and being at peace with it. There's a wonderful prayer in the serenity prayer that we use in addiction recovery, AA meetings and things like that. And it goes this way. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That prayer is premised on the principle of acceptance and normalizing that, sometimes we wish we can effect change, but we have no control over it. Give us the clarity of mind and the peace to come to terms with it, and the serenity to be able to live with the fact that we do not have control over that particular situation. The things that we do have control over, understand, give us the self-awareness to be able to work on them. What are the things that you have control over? Your own state of mind, resilience, stress management, and all those things, they are within your control. So go for them and stop fretting over things that are not within your control. The person that rejected you, something that you failed from, and all those things. They are in the past. You can't control things that have happened in the past. You also can't control other people's, way of thinking. Yes, and that's why wellness is an individualized concept, is an individualized journey between you and yourself. So acceptance is one of the first strategies to building resilience. Avoidance, though, is another one, okay? Because again, remember in the serenity prayer, he talks about, the courage to change the things that I can. You understand? There are things that are within your control. Sometimes you can predict that a decision is a bad one, so you avoid it. Things that are ultimately not going to be good for you. You want to have this self-determination to be able to avoid those things. Some people go into relationships and they know the person that they're in that relationship with is a serial womanizer. This person will cheated on their previous relationship, is having multiple relationships with another person right now. And you are there thinking, oh, well, I am special. I am this. If that person just sees the real me, understand, and that person feels my love, you understand, I will change that person, and that person would be rebranded because of my love and things like that. Hey, it probably will not end well for you. So again, avoiding certain situations, you understand, because it's not going to work out well for you, is one of the strategies of building, resilience. Knowing things that is within your control to avoid, you understand, stepping out of certain behaviors, that are maladaptive for you, behaviors that are not necessarily helping you. Take, for instance, overthinking, for instance, is a very, very maladaptive behavior. Okay. In therapy, we call overthinking ruminating. Okay, and it leads to something we call the snowballing effect. You begin to chew on a certain negative thought over and over and over again, till it becomes something huge and massive, and it becomes very, very overwhelming. Overthinking is a behavior that you can avoid. It's a strategy that you can decide to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Okay, because it is not functional. It is going to cause me trouble rather than building. Okay, focusing on things that you don't have control over again is another thing that you can avoid as well. All right, so you can avoid certain things. A alter is talking about you being able to change things in your physical environment. You understand? Also in your internal environment, you can change your mindset as well, change your belief systems. Somebody says that, look at me, I'm not good with the way I look, you understand? No wonder nobody wants to love me and things like that. Maybe that's not true, you understand? First and foremost, start therapy, okay, to alter your state of mind, to alter your belief system, you understand? You have some cognitive distortions, you understand? Some people have generational trauma, some people have PTSD, you understand, that is affecting the way they perceive themselves. So again, going into things like therapy, activities like therapy, help you to alter those things. Maybe you don't like your body, you understand? Maybe you have an amusement park instead of the six pack. You can work on it. Go to the gym, get this thing done. Oh, I feel so isolated, you understand? Nobody talks to me. I don't get enough social stimulation. You could alter that, you understand? Volunteer for activity. Put yourself in situations where people meet you and people get to interact with you. Go to gatherings, go to church, you understand? Turn up for work events, you understand? As against isolating and withdrawing yourself from many of those things. Be the first to say hello, hi to somebody, you understand? Go and learn conversational starters, things that can help you in building rapport with people and things like that. This is what altering or alteration is talking about. So we've talked about acceptance, avoidance, altering or alterations, and lastly, adaptation or adapting. Sometimes the rock is always going to be there. The situation is not going to change. You can't alter the situation. Sometimes you can't avoid the situation. Okay. Sometimes what you need to do is adjust to the situation, which is what adapting means. Sometimes you have to adapt with what is going on. Somebody said, oh, Shola, do you see how much you're selling tomatoes in the market? 2 pieces of tomato now is 1.5, 5 pieces of Scotch bonnet or pepper, or chili is 1,500 naira. You understand? And it's absorbed, it's crazy. I bought this small thing and could you believe that this is 5,000 naira? It's not even enough to make, Indomie, you understand, and things like that. And I'm like, you could complain from now till tomorrow. If your complaining could change our situation, I'll take complain. I'll join you in the complaining. We'll set a support group for complaining and we'll make a movement for complaining because complaining is going to fix that situation. But since we know that complaining is not going to fix the situation, what we're left to do is with what? Adapting. So what are the alternatives to using fresh tomatoes? Let's continue to explore that. Yesterday, I saw somebody saying that, oh, you can make a semblance of a tomato stew with cucumber. I was like, wow, interesting. There are alternatives, creative ways that people are now adjusting to it. I'm not saying that, it is fair that we have to be pushed into adaptation, but as a survival instinct, as a way of building resilience, we need to be very, very adaptable, changing positively to the times and the situation that we find ourselves in. Adaptation is you finding an umbrella when it is raining. Adaptation is you not wearing your finest shoe in a flooded area. You want to probably wear waterproof shoes, understand, and things like that. Adaptation is knowing when to, there's always going to be traffic, you understand, on your way, or maybe you work on the island, you live on the mainland, and you know that there are certain times that, the traffic is bad. Adaptation is working on your time management, trying to see if you can, finish what you're doing before that time, or waiting till time when the traffic is not peak, you understand, and you can do whatever. There are many ways by which you can be creative with your adaptive techniques. So again, adaptation is very, very important, and these are the 4 A's: acceptance, avoidance, alter or alteration, and adaptation as well. I hope that makes some of sense to us as one of the ways by which you can strategically improve on our resilience. So what does a resilient person look like? What are the attributes of a resilient person? I deliberately added the slide to it because sometimes it helps when we are able to conceptualize, um, what resilience look like. Okay, because we are very, very visual. Especially men. Humans are very, very visual because we rely heavily on our sight. If we are able to imagine and picture it, you understand, we are able to be more focused. It helps our focus. It helps us be able to conceptualize the problem better and be able to work towards it. So again, conceptualizing what a resilient person looks like is what this slide is supposed to accomplish. I hope we can all see it clearly. All right, so there are like 9 qualities of a resilient person according to this slide. Okay. And one of them is actually what we are going to discuss last, on this set of slides. Okay. And one of the first characteristics or quality of a resilient person is they have a realistic sense of control of their choices and decisions. So there are people whose belief system is strongly embedded in being realistic, whether it's about decisions, choices, events that happen to them in life, or expectations. They are not fantastic in their mindsets. Instead, they are more about reality. Okay. And a resilient person focuses on the reality of things, a sense of reality, know what they have control over, know what they don't have control over. Somebody can have it in their mind, you know what, I just have this burning desire to help everybody. I have this burning desire to save everybody. I have this burning desire to be able to pick everybody and understand, fix everybody and fix everybody and fix everybody. But the reality is that you can't help everybody. Sometimes, no matter how much you do to help somebody, understand, people don't help themselves. And this is something that has helped me quite a lot in my journey in mental health practitioner, or mental health practice rather. That you don't get to win everything. So you don't get to fixate on, oh, I was not able to help that person. Oh, I'm a terrible therapist. Oh, maybe that's imposter syndrome that comes on you. Oh, am I really all that I say that I am? Understand? Am I helping this people or am making their situation worse? And things like that. One of the first things that I learned as a practitioner is managing my expectation when we go into therapeutic relationship. You understand? Setting realistic goals that we can accomplish together in that therapy, journey. And also normalizing that this could work for you and this might not work for you as well. Again, that is one of the standard quality of a resilient person. The second standard quality of a resilient person is that they have this peculiar way of seeing challenges as an opportunity. They see changes as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to advance, and things like that. Which means that what other people might perceive as, oh my God, you understand? Oh, look at this limitation, look at this obstacle, you understand? This thing will be the end of me. I don't know. They just want to, it's almost as if all the odds are stacked against me and things like that. A resilient person sees that same situation and sees an opportunity to shine and an opportunity to grow, And many a times, the reason why many of us might not have, recorded growth in our career is because we are focused too much on seeing those obstacles as an hindrance to us and not necessarily as a stepping stone for us to get to where we're going to. Again, positively looking at situation and choosing to hold on to the positive mentality of it rather than focus on the negativity of it. So that characteristic is that resilient people kind of like look at obstacles as what? An opportunity for growth, a challenge to be better, an opportunity for them to learn, an opportunity for them to be visible, and an opportunity for them to shine. Okay. Third quality is that, resilient people value positive social engagement, positive psychosocial supports. They value people who offer, great value to their life, socially, emotionally, psychologically. It's always good when we have those people in our life, you understand, people that when the chips are down, you understand, you just feel like this is the person that I want to talk to. If you have such a person in your life, you have a very, very good, big asset, and resilient people appreciate that. They understand that, sometimes we need people to lift us up. Sometimes we need people to help us. Sometimes we need people for us to unburden our minds on. Sometimes we need people to lean on. You understand? Somebody that can listen to us, you understand, without judgment. You understand? Somebody that can demonstrate empathy towards us. Somebody that can listen effectively, you understand, and things like that. Again, resilient people value these things. They go out of their way to introduce these people into their lives. And one of such engagement is therapy. Resilient people, yes, and value therapy. They value um, the significance, you understand, they value the advantages, they value the use of having therapeutic interactions, with professionals and things like that. And these are, very, very good qualities for us. Another quality is that resilient people set personal goals for themselves. Sometimes you ask people, what do you want to be? Yes, and I'm like, you complain quite a lot. But again, what are your goals in life? Because it seems everything is just complaining with you. Do you have goals that we can, talk about? Resilient people set goals, achievable goals for themselves, realistic goals, and they work towards that goals. They are more goal-oriented than problem-focused. Okay, so again, that is another thing about resilient people. Fifth thing about resilient people is that they have a very, very good sense of humor. And this is very, very important. And as Nigerians, we kind of like do very well with that because we have a way of trivializing big issues, going on in our lives. Sometimes it's important for you to be able to look at a big problem, and see the humorous aspect of it. Things that can initiate laughter. Things that can be interpreted to be jovial. I remember there was a time that I fell. I fell very, very bad. And there were a lot of people around there. I was with my friend, and the fall was bad. My shoe fell off. You understand? My trouser got torn. You understand? There was water. The fall was bad. And those kind of fall that you fall, you understand, and you just close your eyes there, you understand, and you just don't want to go open your eyes because you don't want to really, really come to terms with what has happened. But what I heard was my friend laughing uncontrollably. He was laughing so hard. I was like, I had to open my eyes, like, yeah, I fell down and you're laughing. I'm like, sorry, but you should see the way you fell, honestly. You fell down in batches. When people are falling down in batches, it was like you fell, you stopped falling, then you resume falling, then you stop falling again, then you resume falling again. I was like, it was so funny. And the way he said it, I couldn't help but laughing at it as well. So we laughed at the situation together. And guess what? The people around, rather than they saying, hey, yeah, and he was a fine boy, and all those things that probably would have made you feel bad about yourself, they also joined in the laughter, you understand? And we all just kind of like laughed about it. Sometimes we can look at our own challenges and situations, you understand, and find a way to laugh about it. It's not delusional, okay? It's perspective, all right? And when things happen to us in Nigeria, maybe an election didn't go the way the masses wanted it to go, you understand? We begin to pick elements of things to joke about and to laugh about, you understand? Lighten the situation, make it less emotionally distressing for ourselves. And that is what humor quite does. In fact, humor is a very, very good coping technique. Okay, for those of you who know what coping means, humor is a very, very, effective coping strategy. Another quality of resilient people is what? Patience. They are very, very patient people. They understand that sometimes growth requires time. Sometimes things need to ferment. Sometimes things need to gestate. Sometimes efforts take a while before they manifest. Sometimes you need to plant and water, protect it, you understand, weed and all this before it begins to shoot up. And they understand to be patient with themselves. Again, how many of us can say that we are really, really patient with ourselves? Many times we expect too much, too little from ourselves, or too soon rather from ourselves. We set unreasonable expectations for ourselves and expect us to be able to accomplish those things. We give ourselves unrealistic expectation. Oh, but I remember, tmak, was it last year or the year before where the slogan at the beginning of the year is that this year we go buy Benz? And almost everybody was saying it. Yeah, we go buy Benz, we go buy Benz. How many of us bought Benz? Not of us. And again, being patient is just, I might not buy Benz this year, you understand? Maybe I won't even buy it in the next 5 years, you understand? But over time, I'm sure, you understand, I am hardworking, you understand, and I'm quite resilient, you know. I may be able to do it, you understand, you know, in a couple of years' time, you understand. I give myself time, I give myself patience, you know, and sometimes that is the key, you understand, telling yourself that, you know, it's okay that you're not where you want to be right now, but keep working at it, you understand, be patient, you understand. This thing will pay off, you know. And it's not just in career, you know, it's not just in, sometimes it's even in our interpersonal relationship. Oh, I'm 29, I'm not yet married, you understand, and all those kind of things. We need to be patient because people that have, you know, put themselves under too much pressure sometimes have made wrong choices that have eventually led to a downward spiral for the trajectory of their life. You know, they've gone ahead and, you know, tied themselves down to the wrong kind of person. You know, now that they are being abused, now they don't feel fulfilled. You understand? Now they feel less of themselves. You understand? Now they feel trapped. Now they feel like they are drowning. You understand? And all those things. Why? Because you could not demonstrate patience. Okay. And maybe we could learn from this as a society as well. Many of us don't put pressure on people. We advocate patience with other people, but we don't do it to our own self. We don't subject ourselves to that same standard. Many of us are very, very good and kind people. That's why people gravitate towards us, you understand? But we don't do that same thing to our own self, you understand? We don't say that, oh boy, you are trying, you understand? I know you can't make rent this month, you understand? But again, keep working, you understand? It will work out. You know, yeah, we have to borrow money this month. I know it sucks. But again, be patient, you understand? The things that you are cooking, you understand, it will work out one day, you understand. Keep working on it, you understand. Keep grinding, keep trying, you understand. It will work out, you understand. You have God, you understand. You have people, you understand. Just keep doing what you need to do. And this is what patience sometimes looks like. Another quality is that resilient people have a high level of tolerance to negative feelings. Put in a simpler word, resilient people have a tough skin. Okay, not every emotion shakes them. I mean, not every negative emotion shakes them anyway. Some people are so ultra sensitive to negative emotions that it shows. Any small thing shakes you. Any small thing makes you cry. Any small thing makes you. And I'm not saying that you being emotional is a flaw of character. Okay. But we can improve our resilience towards negative emotions. We can improve our level of tolerance towards negative emotion. Some people will just be like, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Nobody should talk to me or stand. Today I'm moody. tmak, especially those people that believe in astrology, you know, my what's
horoscope.
my horoscope you understand today says that, you know, because I'm a Cancer or I'm a Aquarius or
Sagittarian or
you understand,
Aquarian.
and then you understand it says that I'm not going to be too happy today. And hopefully when I woke up, you understand, it was to a loud noise, you understand, in my compound, you understand. And it's a validation that today is going to be a sad day. So you go about your time with a dark cloud on your head, you understand. And you know, today I'm sad, nobody should cross me, you understand, and all those things. We should have a higher tolerance to negative affect. Some people you can't joke with them. Some people, small criticism like this, you understand, they take it to heart, you understand, and they become very, very. You know, I saw a video one day, you know, and it wasn't a video. I think it was like a meme or something. And the gist around it was that there's this manager who has, like, you know, somebody that works for him, you understand? And the person is Jessica, you know. And what the person was like, Jessica, you can't always be crying each time I give you a criticism. Okay? I am not your boyfriend. You can't always be crying to me. Which means that we should be able to see criticism as what it is, you understand? It is a neutral evaluation of our behavior, of our performance, rather than look at it as a character assassination attempt, you know, as things like that. If somebody tells you that, oh, how do you tell somebody that you need to work on your emotional intelligence without the person feeling like you're telling the person that you are unintelligent or you are emotionally unintelligent? You know, again, these are the issues. You should have a tougher skin to negative emotions. You should have a tougher skin to things like envy, jealousy, you know, sadness, negative feelings, you understand, you know, and all those things. Have a more resilient, you know, outer shell towards those things, and you'll be a better person for it, you know. Sometimes you tell, oh, you heard that somebody said something about you, understand, and you took it to heart, you understand, and you feel ashamed. You want to cover your hair, you want to cover your face, you understand. You know that song, if you don't get money, hide your face. Imagine if you didn't have a higher level of tolerance to negative effects. whenever you look at your bank account, you understand, and it is, not looking good, you understand, you begin to hide your face. Nobody should look at me. I'm not deserving of anybody's, acknowledgement, approval. I should not be happy. I shouldn't have anything to smile about because Davido said it. Was it Davido that said it? And somebody has just said it, that if you don't get money, hide your face. Again, we should be able to be more tolerant to negative emotions, and that is a very, very good quality to resilient people. Resilient people also has a very, very high level of optimistic outlook to life. So they are very, very optimistic in the way they perceive life, the future, things like that. You understand? It almost feels like it's difficult for you to get them down. So again, somebody that is very resilient will hear a bad news, you understand, and after a brief period of feeling sad and all of this, and they bounce back, you understand, and they find a very, very optimistic way of looking at it. That's why somebody who has a terminal issue would be like, you know what, doctor, how long do I have left? And the person is saying maybe 6 months. I'm like, what's the assurance that I won't die before 6 months, even if I didn't have cancer? So it's not about how long I need to live, you understand? It's about how well, you understand? Okay, which means I have 6 months, you understand, to love passionately, which means I have 6 months, you understand, to live with my family, you understand. I have a bucket list of things that I have to do. I was seeing a TikTok about a guy that, had some kind of brain cancer, terminal, he cannot be operated, you understand. And he had 3 months, you understand. And he went on this epic journey, you understand, touching base with several places in the world, you understand. He started GoFundMe, people were funding, those trips, you understand. He was taking pictures in all those places, doing all those things that, people who are allegedly supposed to be dying should not even be thinking of doing, you know. And all those things. He went to Brazil, he went to Colombia, he went to Rome, he went to Africa, he went to, and he compiled all those things and said, oh, these are my legacy, you understand? I lived, I was there, I was happy, and of course he has died, you understand? But again, he died on his own terms. He died choosing the kind of feeling that, so again, this is the optimism that we talk about, you understand, that we can replicate in, little situations in our own life, you understand? Situations that require us to be more optimistic as to be being pessimistic. And of course, resilient people have a high level of adaptability. They can change, you understand? If you bend them this way, you understand? They find a way to find comfort in the way you bend them, you understand? And move. They can adjust to things. Tomatoes is expensive, they find something else to use. We can't do this, you understand? They find another way to continue to try regardless of that. That is a very, very good quality of a resilient person.
So Shola, we need to try and land now so that
okay. And like I said, the next thing is management of expectations. And, I've kind of like talked about this quite a lot during our conversation, we kind of like makes it, good for us to kind of like gloss over now. Managing stress, has a lot to do with many of the things that we've talked about here, but it also has to do with management of expectation as well. Sometimes the problem is that we expect too much, or we have unrealistic expectations of things that happen in life. There are many cognitive distortions that border on, poorly managed expectations, like an expectation of fairness, for instance. Oh, that life is to be fair. Because I did this, then, good things should come my way. Sometimes that doesn't work in life. Because I'm a good person, you understand, then people should, do good things to me. Sometimes it doesn't also work like that as well, because again, that is you not having, a realistic expectation of life, you understand. There's also that fallacy of fairness as well, that life has to be fair to you because you are fair to people. Sometimes people are just people. They will treat you unfairly, you understand? Deal with it. So again, ways of managing expectation is, setting realistic goals for yourself. And this is very, very important. Sometimes we set unrealistic goals and expectations for ourselves. Oh, I want to finish school by the age of 20. By the age of 22, I want to have, become a manager at the bank. By the age of 23, I want to have been able to build my own 2-bedroom apartment. By the age of 24, you understand, I want to have had 20 million in my bank account. By the age of 25, I want to have been married. By the age of 29, I want to have given back to all my 4 kids. You understand? I want to be retired by the age of 45. All those things we set for ourselves, which are good things, you understand? But sometimes we need to ask ourselves, what is the reality that you will be able to accomplish those things based off of the timeline that you set for yourself? Sometimes the timeline is unrealistic. So again, we need to be able to set realistic goals for ourselves. Have plan A's, plan B's, and plan C's, plan D, plan E, as many backup plans as possible for you to have in that particular situation. Another way to manage expectation is practicing self-compassion. And I talked about this quite a lot in this session. Be compassionate towards yourself, you understand? Be patient towards yourself, you understand? Encourage yourself and all those things, sometimes we expect that we should have done this, so we should have been able to do at this age of my life, I should have done this. I should have been. Sometimes, you need to be able to practice self-compassion. Tell yourself that you are trying your best. You'll get there. Don't worry, give it time, adjust as it is needed. You understand? If there's need for you to manage to adjust your expectation, adjust this. Your expectations are not set in cement, they are not set in concrete. You can tweak it, you can adjust it to accommodate whatever it is that is happening currently in your life. And lastly, educate yourself. More importantly, psycho-educate yourself. Expose yourself to as much positive information as possible. Sometimes you get those informations in therapy, you get those informations in support groups, you get those informations in the kind of literature that you consume as well. You understand? Self-edifying, you understand, wellness, literature and things like that. So educate yourself a lot, you understand? Learn how to manage expectations, read about those things, you understand, and do your research and help yourself. And yeah, this is where we draw the curtain on my presentation today. I hope we've all been able to be touched by it one way or the other. Back to you now, tmak.
Please, let's put our hands together for Shola. If you can unmute or go to the chat room and jam your hand together. Thank you for taking your time to share so deeply. Very much appreciated. Please, let's put our hands together for him. I know this is a bit long gone. Thank you also for staying on. Anybody with questions, anybody with comments, anybody with contributions, before I just try to land it? Any question, raise your hand or mute your mic. Let's do this rapidly and get through with this. Anything, anyone? Anything, anyone? Okay, so let me land. Let me just try and wrap this as briefly as I can. What I found in my psychology journey and self-development along this line is that the number one challenge that I find for mental health is the value, our perception of life, our principles about life. And I will go through it very, very quickly. If a woman is pregnant, the woman gets ready that there will either be labor or there will be cesarean section. It's something that is given. If a woman that is pregnant has to go through labor, it is painful, it hurts, it's very difficult, but the woman is not wondering what is going on. She's not turning right, turning left to say, what is this? And then she's acting, I do not understand what is going on. She sees it as a phase. It's about how quickly can this be done and this is over, because at the end, there's an expectation of a baby that would justify all that effort. Our biggest problem with mental health challenge is that many people are just going through life without living in the consciousness of the principles of life. I'll go through a few. Number one is that we are born and we are going to die. There is nobody that has defied that process. So it should be settled in your mind that we were all born and one day we are going to die at different times. It doesn't go by hierarchy, it doesn't go by age, it doesn't go by pattern. Everybody will die. That is critical, because at the end of the day, when you get this settled, you don't take life too seriously. Number two is that you need to understand that life is a process and it is all up to you with whatever you do with it. So that principle makes you conscious of the fact that you are not helpless, you are not a passenger, it is up to you. So don't be throwing up your hand when things are not going around you the way you want them to do. It's about you also, the next principle, realizing that you will not be in control of everything. Things happen in life, some you can control. If you get that principle deep in your mind, I drop that serenity prayer in the chat. The next one I want to really talk about is the fact that, look, there is nothing you can do that can protect you from problem. As long as you are alive, you will deal with things every day. I've said this in many times. This MTN payoff line, that what are we doing today? I have adapted it in my head. What problem are we solving today? So you wake up one day, your water pump was working the night before, the following day is not working. You have a choice. You can start pulling your hair and wondering why today of all day, or realize that, okay, is this the problem we are facing today? How do we face it? Nothing can protect you from problem. You can't be so smart, so organized, so intelligent, having all the money. Problem comes to those who are alive. When this is settled in your head, then you know that when things show up, your question is, can I do something about this? If I can do something about it, I go ahead and deal with it. If I cannot do something about it, then I leave it, the serenity prayer. Another principle is, don't take yourself too serious. Some people are too hung up and they think, oh, what if I don't have a car? How does that compare with this? What if I don't have a house? You are going to die. We're all going to die. Everybody is going to end up dead. We came empty, we leave empty. It's good to have a car, but your peace, your joy, your sense of dignity is not tied to the kind of car that you are riding. Because if anybody thinks that the car you drive is what determines how dignified you are, maybe you should not even be in that category or in that group. So you need to get to a point where your principles about life are very clear and in front of your head. When you get your values and principles of life right, you realize that many of the things that are stressing us, they will not stress us anymore. I do not want to go beyond this tonight. I would just like to take the next few minutes just to now tell you of what is coming next. What is coming next is that with this episode now, we have done the second run we wanted to do for the mental health. And next will now be for us in July. We'll be bringing a physical health expert who will then help talk us through how we can enjoy better wellness by looking after our physical health. Exercise, time of the day, how does that connect with diet? How does that connect with medicine? Scientifically, that is what we want to do next. And we hope to end in August with a financial edition where we will then tie everything together and bring it back to money where everything kind of connects. If you are not yet part of our Telegram group, please go there and join us. It's called HeyCoach on Telegram. I'm sure John will drop the link on the Telegram group. This recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So if anybody you know needs to watch it, just go to Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative. John has dropped the link on the chat inside this Zoom meeting. You may just want to quickly copy it and check out the videos that are there and share with others who may need to watch it. Once again, I'm sorry thank you for your understanding that we've kept you so late today. It is not typical, but we are glad that you were able to stay with us. On behalf of Shola, please thank you so much for making the sacrifice to put all of this together and to share very briefly. Very freely. We are extremely, very grateful. Thank you so much, everybody. I do not know if there's any final thing, question, comments from anybody on the call. On the program tonight. Anybody? Any final thing from you? Final comment? Final word? Anything? Going? Gone? Okay, so.
Thank you, Dr. Shola. Thank you, Tim, and the team.
Thank you very much, John. Anything else from anybody? Anything? JT, please, do you want to please put up the survey very quickly? So we just get that out. So please, it's less than 1 minute. It's just 2 or 3 questions to answer. And then We wish you a very, very restful night and a very productive weekend. Shola, thank you so much once again. God bless you. Everybody, thanks for being here. My Oga at the top, Anita, I think are you still here? Thank you for staying all through. Can I still see you here? I'm not sure whether you are still here. Yes, Anita, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your presence. You want to say something?
Thank you, Uncle Tmak. Thank you very much. The subject was really relevant, and
Thank you very
I'll bring
much.
more people to the community because
Thank
people
you.
need to hear these things very often. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us and being here till now. Thank you. So everybody, enjoy your weekend. Thank you, and see you next month, inshallah. And between now and then, please look out for your friends. Look out for those who are close to you. These things are not written on the face, and you have no idea how gobsmacked I feel right now about the one that happened around me. You don't want to feel that way. So just do the much that you can, reach out, connect, and expose them to this information as much as you can, because this is a very silent killer. You won't know until something has happened, and may we not experience this again around us. Thank you very much, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.